and welcome to Black Cats Chat, the international fans podcast for Sunderland AFC. My name is Lee Thurkle, I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and we're back for another review show. This time, unfortunately, was a 1-0 defeat down at Craven Cottage to Fulham in the piss and rain. It wasn't great conditions. To talk about that, I've got three guests today. Two of them are down under, and one's in Ireland, which is Michael Dunn from the Irish Black Cats. Michael, good morning to you, mate. How are you?
Oh, good, Lee. How are you? Thanks for having me on again.
I'm actually, well, I'm all right. I'm not hungover this week, so because normally on a Sunday morning, I normally go out on a Saturday night sometimes, and I'm normally hungover, a bit hungover. But today, I've just got a croaky voice, but I'm not hungover. I didn't go out. I stayed in. Chris is in Australia. He's in Brisbane. Chris, you're originally from Durham. How are you, mate?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
Good. Yeah, just don't mention the cricket, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not talking about the cricket. There is no cricket. Move.
No. Well, for the next 2 weeks, there is no cricket anyway. At least that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
And our third guest is Anth the Mackham. He's got his own YouTube channel. Anth, you're having some issues with your camera there, but listen, doesn't matter. I'm sure you're looking.
I'm sure I'll figure it out.
And I'm sure you're looking good as well.
I don't know. I think I've saved everybody a little bit of visual harm with my face being off here.
I'm sure, not mine. But Anth, you're in Alice Springs. Again, must be quite hot at the minute there.
Yeah, pretty much. Most days have been 35 to 40 degrees. Right now, it's exactly 40 degrees Celsius at 28 at night. It's ridiculous. But if you like the sun and the heat, come on down.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I mean, you're in Brisbane, right? Isn't that where they record I'm a Celebrity?
Yes, it is. Yeah, just down on the Gold Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was watching last night. It was pissing down with rain there.
Yeah, it was raining there. Apparently it's going to be 35 here all week. So not quite as bad as for Port Anth there, but it's going to be pretty warm and sticky.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I noticed that Ant and Deck haven't made any Newcastle jokes related to Sunderland FC yet, so keeping them bastards quiet.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Anyway, lads, so yesterday, 1-0 defeat. Michael, I suppose it was disappointing, the result, especially after that performance against Arsenal like a few weeks before, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not too disappointed about the result in terms of, we think about it, it's only our third defeat of the season. We're nearly in December, so we probably would have taken that at the start of the season. I'm more disappointed in the performance. I think Libri kind of referenced it after the game that there's probably a lot more in the team than what they showed in the match. We never really looked like scoring, and we never really looked like creating a lot. So I think it's more the standard of performance that was more upsetting, given, as you said, how we played against Arsenal and the second half against Everton. Fulham are quite decent at home as well, so there's going to be results like that.
Yeah, I mean, you said there we never looked like scoring, and like our XG was like 0.17, so that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
You can finish the podcast now, that's it.
Too right. Chris, do you think like these international breaks have taken its toll on some of the players? Because this was what, the third or fourth international break since the start of the season, and quite a lot of our players have been away and they've played a lot of matches, especially like the likes of Xhaka, Siddiqui, Ballard, Hume. Not to mention the miles that they cover in the games, out of games in close space of time. Do you think that takes its toll as well?
Yeah, I mean, it can't help, right? I mean, a couple of our boys did 120 minutes and penalties, so they'll be absolutely knackered. And then flying back and obviously, difference in weather and all the rest of it. I don't think we haven't done too badly after previous international breaks. We've had a couple of good results, but this was, as Michael was saying, like, it was just really flat. It just, I don't know, it felt like, it didn't feel like any other Sunderland game that we've seen this season. It was just like, what's going on? It was really, really flat.
Yeah. And it must be frustrating staying up in the early hours. I suppose it's the early hours, watching the performance like that.
Oh, yeah. It was. I don't want to echo too much of what Michael and Chris have said, but yeah, it's probably one of the most flat performances to stay awake for. Yeah, the game's not played just for me, but you need to at least put in a half decent effort. And I don't know if it's down to the players or the international break itself that's the root cause of it. I think the way we set up the game was to go out with a 0-0 draw and potentially catch them on the counter. Just looking at the stats alone, 24, 25 shots for Fulham and to our 4 in the entire 90. That kind of tells you the story that realistically, I know it's not nice to say, but like if you're looking on paper, Fulham deserve to win that game, and it's yeah. Like I don't really like saying that, but it's just a practical reality. Like if you're going to attack the majority of the game, that's the kind of football you want to see from Sunderland, not the other way around.
Yeah, I suppose we got let off the hook, didn't we, as well, because they only scored one, because they should have probably scored about 3 or 4, I reckon. Michael, there's been this debate about like this three at the back. I think was it first brought in against Chelsea, wasn't it? That was the first time we used the three centre backs, and it worked then. We used it against Everton, it didn't work there. We used it against Arsenal, it did work there. We used it yesterday, it didn't work. Is that just a clear sign that against better teams it works, but against like less better teams, average teams, we need to go back to a back four?
Yeah, it seems that way. Obviously, you referenced Chelsea and Arsenal, where the performances looked really good, and you're obviously, if you're frustrating their attacking players, and the onus really isn't on us to really be attacking, as so to speak. So, yeah, I mean, you looking forward, you kind of be thinking that against Bournemouth or Fulham, like teams like yesterday, we really need to be kind of having an extra man in midfield or an extra attacker, because there just seemed to be a bit of a disconnect between the midfield and the top. I mean, I think Easter looked really, really isolated at times. I mean, Lefay was trying his hardest to sort of link the midfield and the attack, but it was a lot of effort on Lefay alone to try to do that. So, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's getting that balance right between looking solid at the back and having enough threat up top. And obviously, when we're defending for most of the games against the big teams, it suits us to play on the counter more so than when the onus on us is to attack. Because I think really, if we showed a bit more, there was more there at Fulham yesterday. There's a couple of times where even a couple of passes, we opened them up quite well now. And we'll get into obviously the actual chances itself. But I think, there was more there at Fulham if we probably put more players up top just to go at them a bit more. So, yeah, I think that's something Libre's going to have to look at going forward.
Yeah. Chris, I mean, Granit Xhaka spoke a couple of weeks ago about, I think it was after the Everton game, wasn't it, where he said you normally start matches how you training sessions. Do you think we've kind of underestimated like certain teams like Fulham and Everton, and basically the higher caliber team, we've just basically put the effort in because it's a higher caliber team, and possibly underestimated going in there too confident against Everton and Fulham?
Yeah, it's a fair question. Michael and Anth have touched on it. I do think we went into the game just thinking, oh, we're going to draw. We'll just do 0-0. We'll go on with a point and it'll be fine. And it's an interesting point, because the two teams that we have been a bit meh against were Everton and Fulham, who might sound a bit arrogant. They're the teams that you probably go up against going, well, I'd probably get 3 points against this. The way that we started and the way we've been playing and the performances we put in, it's not unreasonable to go in with that thought process. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, of all the games and all the teams that we played, those two are definitely the flattest performances that we've seen. So yeah, possibly. I think I don't like to use the weather as an excuse, because it's the same for both sides. But you could see, like, some of them. I mean, Lefay looked like he was ready to go up Everest, the way he was wrapped up. Some of them just felt like they just didn't want to be there. And I get it. Like, you don't want to be getting smacked in the face with icy rain for 90 minutes. It's not fun.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. Lefay was actually wrapped up, and you could see that he was getting about the pitch quite a lot, just probably to keep warm, I imagine.
Probably, yeah. That's how when you're a kid at school.
Yeah. Anthony, these three centre backs, does it need to go against lesser teams? I mean, or do we?
I think it needs to go completely, to be honest, mate.
Yeah.
I think it's a tactic that's not really worked effectively in the Premier League, not only for Sunderland, but for pretty much any team that runs it out. You look last season, that's how Southampton were setting themselves up. That's how Ipswich were setting themselves up for most games. If you're inviting world-class quality strikers in on the back line all the time, it's not going to work. You need to have more numbers in the midfield, like Michael said. If you can overload the midfield, you've got more options to keep the ball further up the pitch. The defenders that are there to do the job. If you're constantly seeing 5 at the back, you're expecting to be defensive for the majority of the game. It's not a good sign. It's a really strong indicator for these world-class strikers to come up against. And I don't know if you've mentioned it earlier on or not, but the one game before all of like the most recent forms was the Manchester United game. We started that game with 5 at the back, conceded 2 goals, changed it up at a half an hour mark, and all of a sudden we're a better side. So we've already had this lesson against Fulham in the Man United game. It didn't work. Why are we trying to beat a dead horse? 5 at the back for Sunderland definitely doesn't work.
But you can counter that and
Yeah.
say the Chelsea and Arsenal games. Do you know what I mean? So it is like, is it basically the caliber of the opposition? Because at that time, my United were struggling as well, weren't they? Everton was struggling, Fulham was struggling. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's like 6 and 2 3s, isn't it? Really?
And you got to also mention that the majority of those games are away from home as well. So is it our away tactics to go in a more defensive approach? When we're not Stadium Light, we're buzzing, we're flying. So maybe it is a little bit of that. I don't know. It's not our job to dictate what the formation is going to be. But I think anybody with footballing eyes can tell you Sunderland at the moment, when we've got 3 centre backs and wing backs that aren't supporting and are higher up the pitch, Hume's up the pitch pretty much more than Lafay at some points. It's like, how do you balance it out?
Yeah. No.
Like, yeah. So the caliber of the opponents, to answer the question, I don't think is really that important. Every Premier League's team away from home is going to be difficult, regardless of where they are in the league. Wolves would be difficult away from home.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, Fulham had lost like I think 4 and 6, something like that, but their home record is very good. So you kind of got to take the balance from that. Michael, you mentioned before then Enzo Lafay. I thought he was like our bright spark because he was getting around the pitch. But normally we're quite good at doing a high press, and it's normally quite coordinated. But you just saw that it was just like Lafay doing all the pressing. Isidore wasn't really pressing. Traore wasn't really pressing. So I think when you've got like an uncoordinated press, it just like it makes us like get out of position. It lets them exploit the gaps. Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that we were good at the high press early in the season, especially against Chelsea, but we weren't this yesterday?
Well, I think that's if Labrie knew the answer to that, we'd know it all. It's one of those things. It could be a mixture of things. People are saying the weather, international break. You don't know. Like, I mean, it could just be one of those days where everyone had a bad day at the office. I mean, they just seem to lack it. Everyone seemed to lack a bit of energy. I'm probably a bit surprised that Easter is still starting, given Robbie got his goal against Arsenal. And Traore seems to be Labrie's favourite man at the moment. He seems to start every game. I mean, it's hard to know. You're looking forward, would you maybe mix up the team a bit? There seems to be a lot of the same lads that have started most games. I don't think we've changed our team much over the last few weeks. So it's hard. I don't know. It could be an abundance of reasons. I mean, it seemed to just be a really bad day at the office. It just, as I said, everyone lacked energy. And you might think going forward, you might just refresh the team a bit and get some fresh legs, and some people with a point to prove might change it a bit.
Yeah. I mean, Chris, one thing I noticed, like when teams play against us, they always attack our wings, right? And they're always one-on-one against our fullbacks or wing-backs. Like yesterday, you saw Fulham were very strong down their left. I think it was a guy called Kevin. What a name, by the way. Kevin. He was against Hume, and every time he was just one-on-one. And when you're one-on-one against a fullback, you've always got a very good chance of getting by him. But whenever we get the ball in our wingers, there's always like 2 or 3 defenders on him. So, that's like one thing that I find really baffling, that we allow wingers from the other team to go one-on-one against our fullbacks and then basically get easy crosses in. But then again, we do defend it normally quite well with 3 centre-backs in there. So, I don't know. What do you think is the solution going forward? Is it to keep the back 5 against better teams, or is it to go to 4?
That's a really good question. I would have preferred a 4 against Fulham, as Anth was talking about. I think, and Michael mentioned it as well. I think if we'd had an extra man in midfield, it would have really helped. It's a curious one about our width or lack thereof. Like, it feels like there's a lot of games where we don't have a lot going on the wings, and I can't quite work out why. I think that it feels like the breeze kind of just going, yep, Traore will do on that side, and then on the other side I'll use Lafay, and then it feels like Talby's was brought in to play on the right, but he's actually better on the left. So now he's kind of juggling that and sort of going, well, I can only bring him on for Lafay, or do I put Lafay in the middle and then put him on the left? It doesn't feel like there's many other options for the right at the minute, so I think that's possibly why he's sticking with Traore. That said, Traore the 4 goal chances that we had yesterday. He had a couple of shots sort of whizzed by the post, and he had a couple of nice touches in and around the corner of the box. Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I do think that teams are targeting Hume a little bit. I think they see him as a bit of a quote unquote weak link. I think compared to Ronaldo on the other side, it's probably a fair thing to do. But I also think he stepped up fairly well. Like yesterday was probably not poor, but a bit of an iffy performance from him, whereas he's been really solid up to now. So yeah, it's a really interesting question about the width and the way that we set up on that front, because it feels like we don't have a lot going on. As you say, we don't seem to have that time where it's just one on one and they're whipping across him.
Yeah, you mentioned there, Chris, like about Trey Hume. I mean, is it a bit unfair as well, the criticism, because he is being asked to basically do two roles, isn't he? Because he's being asked to do like a wing back, but also kind of step in the midfield as well, because he normally does that. But
100%.
no, yeah, and the thing is, like, I think we should go to a back four against those type of teams. But I don't think Trey Hume will be in my first 11. I think I'd go with Mukiele at right back, and I'd bring Alderete back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Anth, Chris mentioned there the Traore had a couple of chances. I mean, there was one where I think we just like basically dispossessed him on the right hand side, and he got in. It was a difficult angle. I think he tried to dink it in over the keeper or cross it to Wilson, but we did have a couple of chances. Like there were half chances, but I mean, that's as you mentioned before. Like, we go into the games like looking for a 0-0 and try and like get scraps, no, like feed off scraps.
Yeah.
So
what's the full question? Is Traore's efforts our best route, or?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, is he the best option on that right wing at the minute?
On the right wing, possibly. I think we've got a couple of players that are, I'd say, fringe for him. Adingra came on the right wing. I think Adingra was the direct replacement for Roberts. Like on paper, at least, Traore's broke into the first team, and rightly so. Like I said, he pretty much seemed to be like the main creative outlet in that game specifically. But I'd say it's a little bit of a weird mix for Sunderland, because if you're looking at just purely the Fulham game, it was Traore. The previous game before that, it's Alderete. The previous game before that, it's Ballard. It's like our most creative players seem to come in from the back and push up when there's a little bit more of a momentum shift in the game, rather than just purely this is our go-to star talent. And maybe that's down to leadership in the middle of the park, with Xhaka saying he's noticed this player's got this weakness and he's like inviting Ballard to push through the middle more often. I think it should be done by the manager and the head coach rather than our players on the pitch. So I don't know. I think we're putting a lot of responsibility on one individual in each and every game. Maybe that's why. And Traore in this Fulham game, that was his time to shine. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just not right under the circumstances. Do you think if it wasn't rainy, if it wasn't immediately after the international break, we would have these exact same excuses?
Probably not. I don't think so. I think yeah, the international break has an effect. The weather conditions probably had an effect, but it's the same for both teams. But no, you mentioned there. I mean, Trio is that he's won 1.5 million, isn't he? He's on a 1-year contract, so he's not really the long-term solution. So, and I'm seeing like Patrick Roberts rip it up in the Premier League as well, in the Championship with Birmingham. So I'm at this point that he didn't get much of more of a chance. Michael, I mean, yesterday we were quite sloppy, especially like from positions where we shouldn't be conceding chances. And Trey Hume touched on it in his interview. He said that we gave away chances that we don't normally give away. And there was one was actually from a corner, and it was a breakaway by Harry Wilson. And Trey Hume like could have got the ball first and was like bouncing up. He didn't get there. There was one where it was like loose in midfield, sloppy in midfield, and Roos made a good save from Kevin. Josh King got one from Robin Roof's kick, I think. So again, like these mistakes, they're not very common from us. I don't know. I mean, it was just bizarre to see someone making so many unforced errors.
Yeah, and we probably had Roofs to thank for a lot of it in the first half. I mean, we easily could have been 2 or 3-0 down. I thought Harry Wilson in particular for Fulham was quite good in the first half. He obviously had a good week for Wales. seemed to come into the game with a lot of confidence. But yeah, we were just so scrappy at the back, and even when we got forward and we got like our set pieces or anything, they were just getting cleared fairly quickly, and then you could see we were sort of exposed at the back. So yeah, we were very, very lucky, in fairness, to only go in at half-time 0-0. That game could have been done at half-time, some of the chances Fulham had.
Yeah, and like, I mean, Chris, I was watching the stream, and they said basically we had our first attempt on goal after 39 minutes, which was like a Traore shot, very tame. Do you think that's probably he's lacking? Is that finishing touch? Because I think he has had quite a few attempts at goal in matches where he's been in that kind of position on the right hand side, and he comes in, and he hasn't got that finishing touch.
Yeah, I know that when he joined, there was a lot of people talking about he was kind of a 5, 6, 7 a season goal man, which obviously would have been nice from the wings if we'd had that sort of extra bit of help on the goal front. Like, he hasn't been far away. A couple of his, and he was probably the only one really threatening the goal, apart from the chance that we had just after half time with Lefay. It was a hell of a touch when he brought down the pass from Roofs. But he was kind of our only real goal threat, and the ones that whizzed by the post, they were, a bit of luck on another day or a bit of extra spin in that weather. They could have nestled in the bottom corner. Yeah, it's an interesting one with Traore. Like, as you said, it's a weird one. It's a 1-year deal. It seems like it's all very short term for everybody. I would like to see us go and improve that position in January, but I don't know if that's high on the club's list of agendas, things to do. But yeah, I think we need a bit more. There's not really any competition there. There's not really anybody else who can play.
Yeah, as mentioned, Talby wants to be on the left, it seems. Mayenda, I think he's just out of favour. Doesn't know his best position at the minute either. And Chris mentioned there the chance from Lafay. I mean, what was it? 15 seconds into the second half, I think it was. And great kick from Moose, and Lafay was in loads of space, brought it down lovely. If that goes in, I think it changes the game completely, doesn't it? It changes like the way the game.
Oh, massively. Massively. It's a culture shock to what we had expected in that first half. Like you said, we had one shot that entire first half. And if that went in within the first 20 seconds of the second, unreal. Like, they would have peppered us completely and maybe left a bit more open gaps. So, like, that's the difference between like the Championship and the Premier League, really. Those one-off shots that if it doesn't go in, you fight an uphill battle. But that was a fantastic strike. Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it a Fulham kickoff? And it goes to Roofs, and then Roofs just does what I class as a Luton ball nowadays.
Yeah.
Just route one over the top and just see how we can challenge their centre backs. And to be fair, some of our best football in the second half was long balls, because we have discussed it a couple of times already. But like through the middle of the park, we were just getting overrun. So why not just completely bypass that part of the field? So yeah, I don't really know what we need to do to like get that goal in the early part of the game, or how that would impact. But I'd like to see it more consistently throughout the first half, rather than after a bollocking at half time. Does that make sense? I'd like to see it from minute 1 rather than minute 45.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But Michael, I mean, the second half we had 49% possession compared to like 38%, I think, in the 30% in the first half. But I thought we actually looked more likely to score in the first half than we did in the second, even though we barely had any chances. So I don't know, like, what were your thoughts on the second half and the way it panned out? I mean, Brobby came on after 64 minutes, Talby came on. I don't think either really got involved too much, did they not?
I never thought we were going to score after that Lefay chance, to be honest. Even when we went 1-0 down near the end, I didn't have any faith in us getting a goal back. We just didn't look like we had much of a creative spark. I think the closest we nearly would have been to scoring was, I think we had like a triangle of passes around to the right hand side, and I think was it Lefay or Talby had the ball, and Lefay was completely free the opposite end. And if Talby could see that, it would have been true 1-on-1. That was good. It was good play there, because we kind of linked up well, and then it created the space on the opposite side. That was probably the closest we came to looking like we were going to score. No, Brobby didn't bring much. Talby didn't either. I sort of feel bad for Mayenda at times. I don't know what he has to do just to get an opportunity in the team, whether it's in centre forward or just on the wing. It seems to me that ever since he missed that chance against Burnley early in the season. He's never really got a look in again. Obviously, Isidore has scored a few goals, but I think it's conceivable that he could give Mienda a chance now, because Isidore sort of hasn't really scored much lately. So something needs to change up there to get more of a creative spark. Because if you're a Fulham defender yesterday, you'd feel like you probably had an easy enough day at the office.
Yeah, I thought we lacked ideas on that right-hand side, especially in the second half when Traore went off, because I remember like there was an attack where we had Mukiele and Hume as the outlets on the wing, and they actually conjured up a good chance because it was like Mukiele did a back heel to Hume, and we actually got a chance from that. Isidore, like a bit of a soft shot. But Chris, what was I going to say? Brian Brobby, 64 minutes. Now, I remember like the Dutch lad, Bastian, he came on, he told me, if you play the ball to his feet, he's useful. He can hold the ball up, bring us into play. If you want him as a target man and you're going to play balls up to his head or his chest, he's not going to do anything. And yesterday, it just seemed in that second half, I mean, you mentioned it before, Anth, the long balls. Basically, our player was like, play out from the back, roofs to Mukiele or to Hertrauder, and then to Ballard, and then Ballard would just like basically get pressed, and he would just like hoof a long ball upfield, and then Robbie was just like trying to bring it down, a bouncing ball, and I think it's not his game, is it not?
No, 100%. It's definitely not his game. It's not what he's about. And we haven't really played that one way this season either. And I know I said earlier it was kind of an unusual performance from us, but we've always sort of mixed it up. We play a mix of through balls and crosses and the odd Luton ball, as Anth put it, into the area. But yeah, we do mix it up. But it felt like I don't know, just feels like a bad day at the office for everybody yesterday. Because we've seen games where Ballard's been striding into midfield and he's taking the ball with him, and then he'll either take a player on and play the simple pass, or he'll play a lovely ball through the middle. Again, Lefay's always got a nice touch and a way to get past the player, and he'll play a nice ball into the area. He's almost always looking for Isidore because those two have got that connection. Just, I don't know, yesterday it just felt like nobody was on their game. It was just a really odd off performance.
But I think
awful.
Credit to Fulham's tactics as well, because I don't think they didn't let Ballard stride into midfield. Do you know what I mean? Like normally they basically closed them down.
They did the homework for sure.
Yeah. And so on Brian Brobby then, I mean, Michael mentioned before he's surprised that he's not starting, given his goal against Arsenal. I mean, does yesterday when he came on really highlight that the club haven't worked enough with him for us to kind of like adapt his style of play?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much nail on the head, really. You've got three main strikers for Sunderland that are fighting for the bit. You've got Isidore, Mienda, and Brobby. Like, I think all three of them should be in the cards for like starting. If there's a rotation in place, let that rotation take effect. Because at the moment we've had Isidore start, I think, 7 games in a row. And that variation, that surprise package of how our striker is going to perform hasn't been there. Maybe Isidore's best coming off the bench for the last half an hour when he's full of energy and everybody else is tired as fuck. Sorry for swearing. That I think that's down to Reggie, really. Like, if he thinks Brobby's going to be a better tactic, if we're going to play 5 at the back and we need somebody to long ball it to, Brobby might be better off than Isidore in that scenario. But if you're trying to get over the back line, then it's Mienda. If it's like passing down the wings, then it's Isidore. It's like we need to have that player utilized best for that game. And like you said, I don't think anybody was really on the cards to do that in this game. And I know we haven't mentioned it yet, and I'll ask this question to you, Lee, rather than from my side. But how much do you think the match officials impacted this game?
It's like every game, isn't it? You get some decisions against you. And I mean, for me, I did like notice that the referee was like giving fouls against us, like the small niggly fouls against us. But when our players went down, he wasn't giving them. But it's just like the Premier League, isn't it?
There was one instance which I think is a blatant red card. I think Isidore was running through on goal. He gets pushed in the back. It's about 35.
Was it by Bassi, wasn't it? Yeah.
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 and he's in the back. He's in the back. He's the last man. There's a big gap because it's outside the box. The referee doesn't give it, and there's no VAR review. Why and how is that available to happen? Is it because it's outside the box that the red card incident isn't reviewed? Like that to me is a huge game shift changer, and it's early in the it's like late in the first half. So, like,
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
I know what you mean. I mean, I was watching that and I was like saying, well, he's just pushed him in the back there. And then the commentator, I don't know who the commentator was, but the commentator was saying, nah, there's not enough contact there. And then when they showed the replay, and it's like a clear push in his back, and he says,
Yeah.
well, maybe there's a little bit of contact. And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's just that bias. But like, I'd expect it the other way around as well. By the way, if like Ballard's pushing somebody in the box on a corner and or hugging somebody, like that gets given as a penalty.
Well,
But it just didn't
Ballard was
seem,
also complaining, wasn't he, about like Jimenez grabbing his neck at one time.
yeah, which is a red card offence. So like, I don't know what the whole point of VAR is if they're not going to actually say, referee, look at this incident. It's a red card on paper offence. If it's not given as a red card, fine, but you still need to actively review it, not an on-pitch review of whatever. That's not you. You might have missed it, or you might have missed it. Like that to me is it's game-changing things. Like
Yeah.
we played okay defensively for 75 minutes. That's all we did. We didn't have any attacking creativity, and the one time we did, we get punished for it, or we don't get rewarded for that. So it's it's just,
no, I get you. I
being
get you.
realistic.
Yeah, Michael, on that topic then, on the referee, do you think it did impact the game, or?
The only decision I would have been fairly disappointed was the one that Anth just mentioned there. That was a blatant foul, to be honest. Like, it was ridiculous. Now, some people might argue that Isidore definitely goes down a little bit easy at times under tackles, but I mean, Bassi had two hands out, I think, and there's a blatant push into the back. That was a disgraceful decision, really. Like, and I mean, I was reading some of the comments online afterwards. People were giving out that the ref was very biased towards Fulham. I generally didn't really notice anything really controversial bar that Isidore call. And I know you referenced that Ballard kind of thing around the throat in the second half, but I'd say Ballard probably gets away with a few of them himself in some games as well. So it goes both ways, in fairness. But what Anne said there, that was definitely a foul on Isidore, and definitely in the first half.
Yeah,
I don't think it made a difference in the result, though. In fairness, we can't sit here and say that we deserved something but the ref rode us for the whole game. Like, it was
absolutely not, because like Fulham could have scored 3 or 4 in the first half, like without refereeing decisions in their favour. Chris, like obviously we're going to connect the referee to the goal, because Trey Hume mentioned in his post-match interview that he thought the free kick that they were awarded was soft, but it was like poor defending from us. How did you see it?
Yeah, no, it's one of those. Like, they're always frustrating when they give it against you, but you're gonna have to accept decisions like that in the Premier League. You're gonna get 50-60% of soft ones. Like, it's just how the game is at this level. And again, the defending was pretty average for the goal as well. So I'm not going to hide behind that. We didn't, as you've all said, we didn't deserve anything from it. They were the better team. They had better tactics, and they out-tacticked us. It was a poor decision, but there was a lot of contributing factors to that goal. It wasn't just the poor free kick that led to it.
Mm-hmm. And was it just a very good ball into the box, or do you think we could have defended it better? Because, like, if you notice, Robin Roofs, he makes the decision to come for it, but then he hesitates and then goes back. I think if he doesn't hesitate, he gets the ball, he can claim it.
I think it's more the delivery of the cross being absolutely insane. Like, that is on a pinpoint exactly what everybody wants. I actually think Ballard defends it pretty well as well, considering where he was when that cross was initially coming in. I just think the difference was Jimenez gets on the ball. It literally just gets that touch that puts it past everybody. Roofs could have potentially closed down that angle, maybe stood his ground around the 6 yard, something like that. But it's one of those goals that once it comes in, it's unpreventable. Like, once that cross starts making its way into that danger zone, everyone's in the locations they are. It's either going to be a defender getting it over the top of the bar or a striker getting it into the back of the net. nobody's really ever stopping that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Roof's had a bad game either. The majority of stuff he did for that entire 90 was fantastic. Like there was the time earlier on where he goes out and comes back and then makes the block. So I like I said, I don't think he did anything wrong. Maybe he thought by going out, he sees Ballard's position and goes, "Oh, Ballard might cover this," and drops back to make the save. So yeah, like it's not going to work out 100% of the time, but was it 24 shots?
Yeah. Michael, your thoughts on the goal? I mean, was it avoidable? Could Roofs have got there if he'd not hesitated? Could Ballard have done a bit better?
I think we're being overly harsh on everyone if we start picking. Maybe Hume could have got closer to the cross coming in. I felt he might have just stood off. I don't know who crossed it in for Fulham. He stood off him just slightly, but you put a ball into the box like that, you're going to cause panic for defenders and goalkeeper because it was just pinpoint right between the last defender and the goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. Maybe there was a lack of communication between Ballard and Roofs. I don't know, but it was a great cross and it was a good finish. And Jimenez was there to toe poke it in. Like, I mean, I think we're probably being overly harsh, and probably we need to remember Roofs has probably saved us in a lot of other games where we got points we didn't deserve. So they balance each other out, don't they? Really. So we'll off this one.
It was Chuck Wheezy, wasn't it, who got the cross in, and he actually came on and he made a massive impact for them, and we could do with a play like that, couldn't we? Right, we're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about the post-match reaction, the post-match scuffle, and then looking ahead to Bournemouth at home next week. So we'll see you in a minute.
Hello there, my name is Anthony Stevenson. I'm originally from Town and Farm in Sunderland. I now live in Cheyenne, Wyoming, USA. I've been supporting the lads for almost 40 years. How are the lads?
All right, welcome to part 2 then. So, Anth, after that goal went in, I mean, I didn't really see a way back for us because of the way we played before that. I don't think Fulham really changed the way they were playing. I think they just kept on going. Just before they scored, though, I remember like the commentator saying Sunderland would take a point right now.
To be fair, I'd say that against every single Premier League team. A point away from home is a point. Like, if you do that 18 times in the season, there you go. You're pretty much on survival. So, with that performance, 80 minutes in, whatever it was, 0-0, looking a bit sluggish for the entire game, yeah, I would have snatched your hand off. Maybe sneak a cheeky little goal here or there. But yeah, I don't think the commentator was too far wrong with that comment. I slightly disagree with you after the goal. I think we picked up we created more gaps at the back, which allowed them to come back into it a bit more and potentially get a second. But it took us conceding to have some of our players wake up. And I think the prime example of that would be Brobby. Brobby came into the game a lot more after we went down a goal than we did before the goal. I know he's only on for about 10, 15 minutes, but like people were trying to get the ball to him a lot more often. So, yeah. How do you rate that?
I just think that when they scored 84 minutes and then he doesn't bring on the subs until the 90th minute, and then by that time, you got 5 minutes of added on time, I just thought the subs at that time, they kind of kill the game, don't they, really? They take away any momentum, that if there is any momentum. So I just thought
do you know what those subs were, though, mate? We got rid of the 5 at the back to put 4 at the back. We put Hume off for an attacking option.
Yeah.
Too little, too late.
Yeah. Chris, after that goal went in, then were you kind of just blow the final whistle now, or have you always got that till the end hope?
It's a good question. I always like to have the till, especially recently, like since the playoffs and obviously the final, and then even this season we've had a couple of last minute winners and equalizers. We never seem to give up, which is fantastic to see. But again, I think it was a symptom of the rest of the game. I personally didn't see where our goal was going to come from because we just looked, and I've said it so many times now, we just looked like we had no ideas. We were just flat. We weren't creating anything I'm not, and again, not a big fan of XG, but the XG suggests that we didn't have an awful lot of chances, as we've discussed. Yeah, I kind of accepted defeat at that point, to be honest. That was just me.
Mm-hmm. Michael, the subs, 90 minutes, Mayenda on for Hume, Adingra on for Lafee. You got players like Dan Neil and Chris Rigg on the bench. I mean, could they have made an impact in some way? Perhaps Xhaka and Siddiqui were a bit tired or not?
Uh, you're bringing subs on that late on. Like, I mean, they're going to have minimal impact, really. I agree with Anth now. Like, he brought Mienda and Adingra on, but he brought them on too late. Like, I mean, it was sort of reactive instead of proactive, looking for the win. Like, so I think if you're going to make changes like that, you want to be bringing them in earlier. As I've mentioned already, Mienda, I think he deserves a shot, really, like, because he's so direct and he's full of pace, and defenders don't really know what to do with him at times. He hasn't really got a fair crack at the whip the last few weeks. He's coming on for 4 or 5 minutes here and there, and it's just very hard for him to make any sort of contribution. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if Dan Neil or Chris Rigg are really going to be game changers in that situation yesterday. I think the guys that came on were probably the right guys, just maybe too late.
I think Rigg possibly more than Neil, because Rigg, I think, probably shows a bit more bite, a bit more urgency. Neil probably not. But yeah, and the final whistle went then, and it all seemed to be calm. Like the cameras panned away, there was like handshakes here and there, high fives, and all of a sudden the cameras turned another angle, and you see a massive brawl breaking out. I think like Florent Gasolfi was in there, the first team coach Isidro Ramon was in there, Medina Ramon, I think he's called. What the fuck happened there? I don't know what happened.
I have no clue either, but can I just say I categorically love a good handbag moment, especially at the end of a game. It's just comical. Like, it's usually over one person still saying, "Oh, you're still going down," or "That was shit. What are you doing?" It's just one person biting and the other one going, "Oh." I don't think anybody got punch swung or it was just argy bargy. And maybe it's frustration from our bench to go, like, it was a shit game. You played it shit, and that's how you perform at home. I don't know. I don't think it was even detailed. I think, was it in the 90th to the 95th minute? I think there was 3 yellow cards for time wasting, so it could be because of that. And that's my only inkling into it. Like, I don't think it was explained in any of the post-match interviews or on the telly. Like, it just happened.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
football.
yeah, no. I think, Chris, like sometimes these comments happen or these things happen because at the end of the match, the winning team, a player from there or Stappen might kind of like goad the opponent and like basically like in their face sort of thing. You got to be kind of better than that, haven't you? You got to kind of basically just brush it off and say like, yeah, listen, you're a knobhead. But we took the bait yesterday and we got into it.
Yeah, 100%. As Ant said, like somebody snapped at something, somebody's bitten at something that somebody on the Fulham bench has said, and whatever comment it might be, and then it's all kicked off because you got to defend your mates and all the rest of it. It was interesting. Labrie was like, "I don't like fighting." Like it was just his comment on it. It's just it's just like I don't like it. So I think his stance on it is pretty clear, and he's obviously had a word with him in the changing room afterwards. Like you're right, you got to rise above that. Like just let them have their comment and just go, yeah, whatever, mate. We'll see the stadium alive. See what happens.
That sort of shit, like Arsenal do that, and let them do that.
Exactly,
because,
let them get on with that.
Yeah. But yeah, you mentioned Labrisa's comments there, and it was actually interesting because he said, "Yeah, I don't like that sort of thing," and for me, if people are pushing at the end of the match, it's because they haven't pushed enough in the game.
Yeah, it's a very fair point. Yep.
Yeah. Michael, was that just basically the icing on the cake for our bad result yesterday? That brawl, just frustration spilling over?
Yeah, it was funny, Labrie saying, yeah, they should have had more energy in the game, which is a fair point. It strikes me that he probably had a good go at them afterwards. The thing I was worried about was I think we've 2 lads on 4 yellows. I was hoping one of them didn't get the next yellow and be banned. So I think Xhaka and I can't remember the other guy. Is it Ballard maybe? Or they've 2 of them are on 4 yellow.
Ballard got his first yesterday, and Siddiqui and Xhaka are on 4 yellow cards.
Ballard's only got 1 yellow this year. But yeah, so that was the one thing I was worried about. I was just hoping someone didn't get a yellow card that would have them suspended for next week. So yeah, I think we got through that part of it okay. It's all a bit of nonsense, really. Like you see it at the end of the games, just people getting tempers flare for no reason, really.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, did he get a haircut after the game?
Did he get a haircut? Probably pulled
It
it out.
looks like he's got a haircut in that interview.
He probably pulled it out, mate. I'm lucky I don't have that problem anymore. And then onto the post-match, Labrie said Fulham deserved to win this game because they imposed their style, their strengths, and we expected more or less this kind of game. And then he goes on to say the first half was just okay. We had the opportunity to be a bit more composed with the ball and to have more intensity in duels, and our second ball management wasn't good enough to change the momentum. We suffered, but we were able to protect our goal and we created 2 or 3 chances, but it wasn't enough. During the second half, we had the chance to change the game, but we didn't use it properly. Their subs helped a lot to create something new, and we were a bit tired. The main point is for us to be competitive in chaotic situations, and we weren't at the level today. Fulham managed it really well, and they kept this ability to push, and at the end, they created something. So what do you make of that? Pretty much spot on, isn't he?
He's bang on, really, and I think that's one of the best things about Reggie Labrie as a manager. He's level-headed. He's humble in defeat. He's humble in victory. He says exactly what is categorically the logical output. It's not, this is the exact reason why we lost. This player wasn't good enough. It was just like they got us beat. We should have done better. Maybe we should have had a bit more energy. We should have had a bit more tempo. Should have tried some more variation on how we were going about attacking, but Fulham had us beat on most of the opportunities. I like it. I know it's not the great result, but from a manager to go, look, I kind of got it wrong. The team weren't really at it today, and Fulham deserved it, is essentially a accurate reflection of the game, regardless if he was our manager or not. And that, to me, is a sign of somebody who knows what he's talking about. So, yeah, I maybe you'd like the Jose Mourinho. Let's point the excuse at the referee for not giving us that penalty. Let's point at the Lino for not pulling back Ballard, getting yanked down on the floor for a penalty or a red card here. That I like it. I respect him for it.
He doesn't get involved in shit like that. Doesn't he? He basically he only gets involved with situations he can control. If it's out of his control, he's like, what's the point? But yeah, he also mentioned that we lack the willingness to impose our style of play on the game. And the point he makes here, Chris, their subs helped a lot to create something new, and we were a bit tired. Is that possibly a little kind of sly dig at his subs that they didn't have the same impact?
Yeah, I think so, and I think he's very smart. Like I really like Labrie. He's very intelligent. He's very thoughtful, and he knows that when he's talking in the press that all the players and everybody else are going to listen to it. So he's definitely having a dig at our subs. And I think he's also having a bit of a dig about the fact that that we couldn't impose ourselves, and it was all Fulham. Yes, it's away from home and all the rest of it, but we beat Chelsea away. We've played other teams away from home and played very well. We didn't make them fight for it. As I think it was Anth earlier said that their centre backs probably thought they had a very easy day. Probably did. They probably came off the pitch going, "How are they fourth? Like how have they got to that position?" It's just we just weren't at it. So fair play to Labrie. He's done it in a very sneaky, clever way there. But I like the fact that he's called it out.
Yeah. Michael, your thoughts on that? We were a bit tired. He kind of admits we were a bit tired, but he also says that we were able to protect our goal despite suffering. I think that's like a kind of a nod to the defence, isn't it, really, that they did their job to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's summed it up all there, and the lads have summed it up as well. I think you can kind of read through between the lines there in his post-match that he was probably hoping we could hold on for a point and just protect the goal. And obviously, if we could get something on the break to sneak a win, great. But I think he would have been happy with a point. Especially the way the performance was. He summed it up like nothing really worked out. I think you can see that there,
yeah. And I'll stay with you, Michael. It says here, it's a disappointing one to take from Trey Hume, especially from a free kick like that. We know we could have dealt with the situation better, but there are no excuses. We faced more chances than we usually do, and we have to be honest about that as a team. There is plenty of experience in that dressing room, and we all know what the standards are. We have shown our character before. We have bounced back from tough results in the past, and we'll do it again. This has to be a one-off, and we'll make sure it is. I don't know about that, Fred. It usually happens. But Burnley, Man United, but never mind. He says, a home game is always a big opportunity. Bournemouth are a good side, but so are we. It's a great place for us to start putting things right. We'll work hard all week and be ready to go again. And he backed the fans. The fans were unbelievable. It was pouring down. It was a long way from home, but they never stopped singing. Even at the end, they were applauding us off the pitch. That means so much to the players. Their commitment drives us on, and we want to give them something back. So, yeah, and I think fair play to the fans for going, because they also had some issues getting back to the North East after the match. I think there was a train cancellation from Bedford to Peterborough, and had to get the bus, which was 3 hours. So, and then a train from Peterborough to Scumland. Michael, your thoughts on comments there from Hume?
Yeah, look, he's sort of obviously referencing next week's a big game. It kind of is when you think of the bigger picture there, that we've Bournemouth and then we're away to City and Liverpool. Now, Liverpool might be the easiest game of the three, the way they're going at the moment, but Bournemouth will be a tough enough game next week. But we kind of need to just ensure we pick up a result of some sort, because they're going to be, that City's obviously going to be tough. Liverpool, you don't know what they're going to bring, and then the lads are going to the African Cup of Nations, and we have the big one against Newcastle as well. So December is going to be a tough month. So in terms of saying it's the one-off, like obviously you hope that, but obviously it's going to be more defeats, but we just can't really afford to go on a string of defeats and then we lose a few players to the African Cup of Nations. So I think actually really in a way, Bournemouth in a way isn't really a big enough game that we need to sort of target 3 points at.
Yeah. Anth, moving on to that Bournemouth game, we are very strong at home. You mentioned before that you want to ditch the 5 at the back and go to a 4. Is Trey Hume's place at risk? Does Alderete come back in? Does Mukiele go right back there in that case for you?
No. I keep Trey Hume in. I actually rate him quite a lot. I know it might be a slightly unpopular opinion, but I think him and Ballard, obviously with the Irish connection, know each other inside and out. There's some kind of, not telekinesis, not like just that they know how each other work. Like that, you can see that they read each other's gameplay a lot. And if you bring in Alderete, yes, he's quality. If he's great, but he hasn't got that like personal connection. They're all like great players, but there's something to be said about bond and morale. And yeah, I think Hume is more likely to push up, create an extra dynamic on the wing to create the extra pass on the left hand side or right side with a Dingra or whoever's out there. Luffy just helping the overload, but I can't see that if we stick with essentially 3 centre backs and one of them playing as a wing back. Doesn't really logically make sense to me. So yeah, keep the back 4, but definitely just have Ballard plus either Mukiele or Alderete. That's the centre back partnership that I'd prefer against Bournemouth, at least because of just broadness. Here's a question to flip back to the group. Who is the biggest threat for Bournemouth to come up in this week? Semenyo, really?
He's injured.
Sensei or
Semenyo's injured. Michael, do you want to take that one? Bournemouth. I mean, they've got Evan Nilsson's probably one of their key players, but Semenyo's injured. Clivert was injured, I think.
Evan Nilsson's good. Yeah, I mean, I was watching the highlights yesterday. It seems that they just attacking numbers is their kind of strength. Like there seems to be loads of lads into the box. Obviously, they're missing some of the key men. I don't know who's back for next week. You would have thought Semenyo would be the main man, but I'm not sure if he's available coming in next week. I don't know if it was just a knock or was it a long-term
he's got an
injury.
Achilles tendon injury, so that doesn't sound too clever, doesn't it? Really.
Sounds like a lengthy one, yeah.
Probably good for us.
Evan Nielsen would be he's a good player, yeah.
Chris, moving on to next week then. What are your thoughts? I mean, we mentioned Brobby before. Does he get a chance? Because let's be honest, like Bournemouth is going to be a much more difficult game than Fulham, I think, because Bournemouth are a better team.
Mm-hmm.
And they would probably capitalise on the chances that we gave Fulham yesterday and probably score a few more.
Almost certainly, yeah. Going back to the conversation earlier, I might be tempted to throw my ender back in from the start. I just think he deserves another shot. Like it's not, and if that is the reason, it's not fair that he's missed out in all these games because of that one that he missed against Brentford. we wouldn't be in the Premier League without him. It was a hell of a goal for the equaliser in the player final. His pace and his directness, I think, would terrify Premier League central defenders. So I'd be tempted to give him a shot. Isidore is always really good off the bench because with his pace, he scares tired defenders, and Robbie is another good option. I think if we are going to start with Robbie or bring Robbie on, as you said earlier, we need to play to his strengths. We can't just launch balls into the area and hope he'll get onto one because, as you said earlier, it's not his game. So it'd be nice to see a change up front. I think Wilson's got a bit stale, maybe.
Yeah. Michael, I mean, it's going to be a tough game. Bournemouth yesterday came back from 2-0 down at home to West Ham. It's 6th versus 7th. So it's probably going to end up a draw, isn't it? Like those games usually do. Cooping busted onto you like 6 against 7th or 11th against 12th. Home win, and then it's always a draw.
I watched the highlights of that match today last night, actually. I did think about Bournemouth as well. They will give you chances as well, and I've seen a few of their games away from home. They concede a lot of goals, and they will definitely attack and they'll score, but they'll also give us chances. So it's hard to know with these sort of teams. Sometimes they're very good at home, and then they go away from home, they're not as strong. I think it's a perfect opportunity for us to get 3 points next week, and I'd agree with Chris. I'd definitely be kind of refreshing the front line, even maybe bring a couple of changes in. I'd like to start Adingra. I mean, I think, again, he's sort of being punished. He played terrible against Man United away. He was taken off really early. But it could be a game to bring him back in, bring Mendy in, just refresh the whole front line. It probably is a bit stale at the moment. So I think it's a great opportunity for a win. I'm actually going over to it myself. I do fancy just to get the result because we probably will target this one given the games that are coming up after it as well.
Yep. Anth, Romain Mundle, Dennis Serkin made their comebacks in the under-21 team. I don't think Serkin's got much of a chance of getting in at the minute unless Ronaldo gets injured. But Mundle has an opportunity there to take that left wing because I don't think Lafay's the permanent fixture for that position, is he not?
I think you're right there. Lafay's not necessarily a left winger at all. I think he's been shoehorned into it. If you play Lafay as more of a cam, that works miles better, especially with like a partnership with Xhaka. If Xhaka and Lafay are able to get that 1-2 between them, I think that works. So it just means a shuffle in the middle of the park and getting Mundle out on the left because I really rate Mundle as well. I can't see Serkin getting back into the squad. It's just logic. Like you said, the only time that would happen is obviously Africa Cup of Nations or a red card or an injury from Ronaldo. He's only of a dedicated left back as well, but we've already discussed it with the defenders overall. Instead of getting rid of Hume, just get rid of Ronaldo and put a different centre back in that left position, shuffle them across. There's more options than Serkin. I think Serkin's probably second or third or fourth choice actually than anybody else. So yeah, no to Serkin and yes to Mundle.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens there then. Right, lads, that's it for today. Thank you very much for coming on. I'll see you again soon. And how are the lads?
Hello, lads.
Hello, lads. Thank you.